welcome back. I'm just wondering how important and what you need out of guys like Tim Hardaway and Seth Curry as well in terms of shooting the ball and how critical that's going to be to any success you got down the stretch.
Well, they're two of the best we have, and both of those guys are having great years. They were both playing great when the hiatus happened, and so they've picked it up where they left off really. And I stayed in close contact with our guys during the hiatus. Seth really worked hard. He was on the Peloton bike all the time. Tim was doing the same. He was doing other forms of working out as well. So when these guys came back and got back in the gym for voluntary workouts, they were already in really, really good shape. And then they've just been ramping up from there. And so, and they've both been shooting the ball, extremely well in practices. So, they're obviously super important to us. And interestingly, just ran into Wes Matthews walking off the court. Milwaukee just played San Antonio, and we're talking about the sight lines, the atmosphere. It's going to be such an unusual environment in terms of what you see on the floor without live fans in the arena. So he said it was different, but that it was great to be back on the floor. One of the things that I saw last night was because there's so much space between the sideline and the benches and the sideline and the opposite side off the floor, a lot of guys were stepping out of bounds, I think, just because they weren't quite used to the depth perception. So we talked about that with our team this morning in the meeting before we went to shoot around, and so we'll keep an eye on that.
Great, thanks. Next up is Coop.
Coop, hey, I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Yeah, there we go. Hey, Rick. Obviously, all these games, as you say, they're against really good teams. But the fact that it is the Lakers, and there's always so much attention around them. That do you think that idea has even gotten your guys' attention even more, and it's helped lead to this really good practice string that you guys have been on, because you're building to playing and trying to prove yourself against people of that ilk?
Yeah, look, we've had 10 practices in 13 days, and we haven't mentioned the Lakers at all. I mean, we don't play them in any of the 8 games. So, look, we certainly are looking forward to playing them. We want to play great teams, and I think this particular scrimmage does have everyone's attention. But look, we don't know how many minutes LeBron James is going to play, or Anthony Davis, or their star players and stuff like that. But everybody always competes extremely hard in the first exhibition game in any sport at any time. You've just come off an extended string of practices. Everybody's wired up. Everybody's got a lot of anticipation to get back on the floor, and so I'm looking forward to seeing a competitive scrimmage, regardless of the minutes.
Great. Next up will be Saad.
Hey, Rick. I'm just curious, when you have this kind of a game, this kind of a scrimmage, and, you have these playoffs coming up soon, what kind of stuff are you looking for from the players here? Is it conditioning? Is it just coming out without injury, or is it something else?
Yeah, combination of those things and more. You got to go hard. I mean, you can't go into a scrimmage or an exhibition game, just thinking about, not getting injured. That's the wrong way to approach it. Going hard is the best way to stay healthy and stay aggressive. But, minutes wise, I'd like to get our guys a good chunk of minutes. They will not play regular game minutes. I don't have an exact number in mind, but it'll be a feel thing. I want to see the things that we've been doing in practice translate over to a game situation. And hey, it's been 4 months, maybe. I guess it's been more than 4 months since we've played a game. So there's plenty of anticipation about being back on the floor. And one of the things, that it really struck me as being, very much the case is that, coming off the 6 or 8 weeks of voluntary individual workouts, it was clear to me that our guys really were anxious to get back on the practice floor together as a team. And so now getting back on the game floor as a team is another kind of step up from that. So, I think the anticipation is there. The opponent is obviously great. And so, we'll, to the extent that we can in a scrimmage, we'll throw the kitchen sink at them.
Great. Next up will be Dwayne.
Rick, you talk a lot about being a better defensive team. What are some of the things you have to do in order to be considered a good defensive team? And also, could you give us an update on Trey Burke?
Yeah, I think, the statistics and the rank in the league kind of tell the story of defense. We want to be a better team protecting the rim. And yet we still, want to be effective at protecting the three-point line. It's hard to do both. But we, the last few years have not done a great job of defending the three-point line. But, the rim has got to be a priority now, especially coming off 4 months, And then, transition defense is always the starting point of your defense. We've had a lot of work on that, particularly in the last 4 days of practice, which has been good. And, we just really feel that, we're a good defensive team. I don't think we're bad. I just think, we're ranked about in the middle, about average, and we got to be above average, and we got to, work to get ourselves into the top 10 to be one of those teams that's really in the hunt. So our defense has been on the eye test, has been better in practice, and so we'll see where we are tonight against a team that can really score.
Okay, our last question will be from Davide.
So, Coach, obviously this is a sort of a test for you guys. What are you expecting to see from a big picture perspective? Like something you really want to see that is going to be very useful for you guys in the seeding games? Offensively,
we've had great ball movement during training camp. I mean, it's the best we've had in 2 years, since this group's been together. And we just want to see a collective tenacity that we're working at ramping up defensively. It's pretty simple. Defense is something that you're going to have your greatest chance to improve as a team if you can improve your defense, because it's always going to have a positive effect on your offense as well. When I went to Detroit, my first job, I got a lot of questions about, did I think we could be a 500 team, when I first took the job, and the team had been a 32-win team. And I had come from Indiana, where I was the offensive coordinator on a very good offensive team, with Reggie Miller and Rick Smits and Mark Jackson and, Chris Mullen, Jalen Rose, a lot of guys that could really score. And my comment was at the time, if we can really pick our defense up, we'll have a chance probably to be better than people expect. And so, we had Ben Wallace. We had made a couple deals to get, Cliff Robinson was a good defender. Michael Curry was a very good defender. And so we changed sort of our view of how we were going to play, and we led the league in points allowed. I think we allowed like 86 or 87 points a game. Now, this is a while ago. This is before 5-out spacing and all that kind of stuff. But that team went from 32 wins to 50. And so, defense, it's just an example of the importance of defense when you're trying to climb the ladder.
I'll just say one thing here. I thought overall a lot of good things. Two areas that hurt us, we had a lot of turnovers and we fouled a lot. So those are two areas that we'll look to improve going into the next game against Indiana.
Okay, great. Thanks. We'll start with Mark Followell.
Hey, Rick. Good to talk to you. Thanks for doing this. We had a chance to talk to Seth recently, and he said he was looking at this not like a resumption of the season, but kind of as a whole new season. But obviously he looked like the old Seth Curry tonight with the way he was shooting the ball. Could you elaborate a little bit on your opinion and your viewpoint and perspective on just how good he looked in terms of picking up where he, quote unquote, left off with shooting the ball tonight?
Well, he's one of the guys that really was very conscientious during the hiatus. He was working out at home on a very consistent basis. He was riding the bike and lifting and doing those kinds of things. And when the individual work started, he was very serious about that. And I don't think he missed a workout. And so, when you build that kind of a base, you got a real chance to get something going. And so, as the season came to a hiatus point, he was just getting in his groove. So it's not an accident that, he's shooting the ball as well as he is. I mean, he works at it, but more importantly, he's worked at the base of his conditioning and everything else leading up to this point.
Great. Thank you. Brad, you're up next.
Hey, Coach, we obviously saw Luka lead the court and then Casey following him. Is he okay?
Yeah, he just came back to stretch, and he was about at his minutes limit anyway for tonight.
And what did you think of the atmosphere tonight? The court, the setup, and everything?
It's different, but it's really cool. It's really I keep saying, this is a once in a lifetime thing, and I love it. I just the creativity involved in coming up with this. I don't think they utilize the digital boards the way they will once the real games start, in terms of home fan noise and those kinds of things. So there's more tricks in the NBA's bag as we move forward.
Thanks. Next up will be Saad.
Hey, Rick, what did you see from Boban today? And I know he was sparingly used throughout the regular season, but do you think there's a chance for an increased role here going forward?
Well, with Dwight being out and Willie Cauley-Stein not being here, he's very much in the mix. And so, and look, coming off what he did in the Denver game, last game of the hiatus, 31-17, he's shown what he can do. So he's definitely a weapon for us. We're going to have to take advantage of what he does, but there's going to be some unusual matchups, both sides of the ball. But we're going to have to take advantage of his size on the offensive end and find creative ways to cover him defensively.
Okay, Rick, thanks. That's all from here. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you.